would you suggest that families do that? Is it important to think about even your kids because what do they need to save for? They're 2. But even at, that $25 just sitting there, it's still something put away, or the $250 just sitting there, it's something put away.
I think it depends on what your goals are, right? I always go back to what are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to teach your child, right? How they can touch and feel it? Then maybe just start with a piggy bank,
We're teaching diversification.
Yeah.
Let's talk tails.
With over 15 years of experience in the financial industry, my guest today is a trusted fiduciary and founder of Desert Moon Financial and Insurance Solutions, LLC. Specializing in financial planning, retirement, wealth management, tax diversification, and protection-based planning for families and business owners. Today's guest works in collaboration with clients to provide them with the individual attention they deserve to bring their financial goals into focus. Her passion lies in serving adults and youth with leadership, business, and financial education. She is an active leader in the mentorship space, serving as a mentor for the nonprofit Young and Empowered Women. Additionally, she serves as a member of the Board of Directors and Risk Committee for the YMCA Metro Board of Arizona. It's Malia Sperling. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Taylor. How are you?
Doing great, thank you.
Good. Thanks for having me here. I'm excited to spend time with you.
I know. I'm excited to know what you think of the studio, too, because in addition to financial, you also, kind of work in the studio world a little bit, don't you?
Yeah. So I wasn't sure if we were going to talk a little bit about that, but always happy to share a little about our, all of the business ventures that we're working on.
Yeah. So first, I do want to know the tale behind the title of your organization, Desert Moon. What is it about Desert Moon Financial and Insurance Solutions?
Yeah, such a good question. I'm sure when you went through branding, right, it takes a long time to craft and figure out the story behind what it is that your purpose is, right? So we did the same. It took us a long time to kind of land on what is the right meaning of what we really love to do. And I think it started with figuring out the type of work I like to do, right? The type of work I really enjoy doing in this business after all the years of doing it. And being in the desert, the one thing that's unique about the desert is it can get really dark at night. I think with financial and money in general, right? Money is something that has periods of ebbs and flows in our lives. So as we kind of walk a long journey of life, we've all, and I say that humbly because every one of us has periods, right, where it's been very dark. And maybe we felt very alone, right? And we haven't had anyone to turn to for advice. So a lot of, if you look at our logo and our brand, the moon is really something that's always a shining light in the dark, right? So it's always going to kind of light that path forward. And that's really what we do. That's probably the most important innate value that I can give and deliver is mentorship and guidance, kind of like that Sherpa, right?
Yeah.
So that we can kind of come right alongside you as you're walking through life. When you hit some of those valleys, we're there. When you're at your peaks, we get to celebrate with you. But having someone to kind of walk that journey with you over a long period of time. So that's really essentially what it means.
That's excellent. Another thing that it makes me think of too, when you think of a moon, there's different phases of the moon. Just like in life, there's different phases. Sometimes it's a half moon and, you're only halfway to your goals, or you're only, you're a crescent and you're just starting out on your financial journey. But then other times you're a whole bright moon, fully shining bright. And so to me, the imagery was also just like phases of the moon. We have phases of life where sometimes we need to save a little more, spend a little more, and things change.
Such a good point. I've honestly never thought about it. So I'm like, okay, note taken, when we go back to our branding. But yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. I love it.
That's awesome. Well, there we go. So in addition to being that guiding light for people, you are also the guiding light within the phases of people's lives as they transition. So there you go. You can run with that.
A lot of ways, yes.
So tell me, did you just grow up as a little girl asking to balance your parents' checkbooks, or were you always interested in finances?
So funny. I love that question. And when I was reading your question, I thought, boy, it really kind of took me back to when I was really, really young. I would tell you that it really started from cookie sales at the Girl Scouts.
Okay.
So big shout out to all my friends at the Girl Scouts. I was raised by a single mom who struggled, worked multiple jobs, put herself through school. My grandparents actually took us in, so I lived with my grandmother at the same time. So I had two very strong women in my life. My grandmother was a real estate. She had a real estate business that she owned, and she was in an investment club. She was very, very, very organized with finance, and she taught me very young how to save, how to invest. But I think as an independent young girl, I was always, knew I needed to figure out how to make it on my own. And so I always was very focused on, whether it was Girl Scouts and earning or, getting out there and working early. I never knew exactly that I would ever get to finance. I was a business major. But when the moment came and we had an opportunity to kind of look for work after a change in jobs, a financial position opened up at H&R Block, and I became a district manager. And so I started leading in the tax, and finance industry. And I really fell in love. I think that's where you start to realize, wow, this is just something that every human being goes through. And what I find where I'm unique in that is the humanizing side of it. Taxes and finance can be very, scary.
Yeah, and all those numbers.
Fearful. And I think it's bigger than what we can, It's kind of ambiguous. But it's really not rocket science. And I think human beings just need someone to, have that relationship with, to kind of walk along. It's the same thing in tax. I've really enjoyed that part of it. And so funny thing though, because I had to, maybe a year ago, I was going back and reading something about myself and my name. You ever read what your name means?
No, maybe I should.
So fun exercise to go and do that. I was doing a self-development thing. And my name has a meaning, and it says recommended careers for a person with the name of Malia. Best suited would be a career in financial services.
Wow.
So isn't that funny how
that's
it's full
crazy.
Circle to come back? But I wouldn't have it any other way. I really attribute it to quite a few of those experiences, And I think that's a lot of times how we end up where our purpose is. It's not just one thing.
I love that too. Malia is such it's not a popular name. It's a unique name, to even have it defined like that. And it's just perfect. Nailed right there. It's sometimes I feel like Truman Show status, someone, the producers in the background, type it in there, make it so she sees that she's supposed to be where she is, Connect the dots. No, it's amazing. That's amazing. So why do you think that people have such a fear or hesitation towards even talking about their finances and retirement, and because it does seem, you kind of mentioned it. You just said, it's scary. Why do you think we're as a population so scared?
I think it's a little taboo, to be honest. I don't know if I always use that word, but it's not something that's talked openly about at the dinner table.
Well, yeah, it's actually inappropriate to ask those types of things at the dinner table.
And then if you add in different cultures, depending on where you grew up, maybe you grew up, in a relatively, a family that maybe struggled, or you had one income earner. I watched my mom really struggle. So I wore a lot of that stress as a child. So we struggled early. And, I think depending on what that is or what that conversation is, if your parents struggled and they didn't have a great relationship with money, then that often, is felt through childhood. Sometimes we learn by mimicking, So these are just human behavior things. I'm kind of talking about psychology of human behavior, but it's actually very real.
Yeah.
And I think that just carries throughout our lives. And it's not like with most other industries where with wellness, you need to get fit and you need to eat well and you need to work your body out, to stay healthy. Well, you go to the gym and you get a personal trainer. Not often does everyone say, well, you're going to have this thing with money and finance your whole life and it can control you and you're going to have to manage it. You might need someone to help you.
Right.
Yeah. So I think a lot of it is a little bit of that relationship journey. And then pits and valleys, where we all will fall down, scrape our knees, and and we're not perfect. And we all have those stories. And I think it's vulnerable to come and say, I made this error. And that's my favorite time to look at someone and say, you are in a circle of trust. This is a safe space because we've all done it. And tomorrow's a new day, We can learn from it. So.
And I think it's how you measure success. And I feel in our society, we measure success based on the zeros in your bank account and with hopefully a number in front of that zero in the bank account.
Right.
And that, if we don't have, millions of dollars, that, sometimes I think it's that fear of being judged, that fear of I'm not being successful. But we need to know that success isn't just measured by dollars. We need to have our own measure stick of what is success.
Well said. Well said, my friend.
Yes.
I think that's a lot of what's exasperated. Probably think about today's culture where everything, whether it's social media, right? You're comparing, our younger generations are in such a hurry to probably see those zeros in those bank accounts quicker than even we were when we were younger. So there's this pressure that's there as well.
There's more comparison society now because we do have social media. Before, you saw the more affluent friends or people at school, but then once they were gone, gone. And you were just in your own home, in your own home life with your own community of friends who tend to have a similar life when you're in the same community. But now those, extravagant lifestyles are everywhere to be seen.
It's true. It really is true. And I think part of having a good relationship with money, again, I always go back to this is part of wellness, basic wellness. Stress is something that's caused from money through your whole life. We see relationships torn apart. We see, it's
not a cause of divorce, isn't it?
Right. So money is something that you're going to have a relationship with, and it needs to be healthy, right? So you've got to work at that, but it can't control you.
Right.
So I think you can organize it and you can focus on it so that you can create order in your life with it, but then you need to let it do what it's supposed to do, right? Because that isn't what is going to create joy for your life. You said it well. It's the other things that you value in life that money maybe affords us to have. Those are the things, right? Those other arenas in our lives are what we're actually earning to be able to do. And it's shifting and balancing that focus between them. Yeah. So that's developing that healthy, almost a harmony with it.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me just when we're talking about, your relationship with money. There was this one book, The Psychology of Money. I forget the author's name at the moment, but, that it kind of talks about that a little bit too. It's just not just thinking about just the dollar points. It's well, what does that money give you? What is the goal of this money? My son, he, a couple of years ago for his birthday, didn't really want toys. He said he wanted money. Which we were great. Now you can buy whatever you want or do what you want. He's terrified to spend it. He keeps asking to go to the arcade. We're go to the arcade. Let's grab some money and you can play. Well, no, I want you to buy it. And it's wait a second. Why do you feel you have to hold this money? The whole point of getting money was for you to do things you want to do. Do you find that sometimes there are those people who just crowd and they don't even enjoy the money that they have?
Yeah, I think it's so fascinating to see that with a child because it doesn't ever change, right? And so when you work with children around money, it's helping them also frame in their own perspective of what are their goals with it, right? If you just tell them, okay, here's this money, right, and now it's protected, they can't logically figure out how to put order in there, right? They need help. So teaching them basics of, okay, here's an appropriate amount to spend, and here's an appropriate amount to save. Here's an appropriate amount to maybe give, right?
We'll even tell them take $5. You want to play what feels like fun, but it is also teaching him, I think, that what is really things worth.
Right.
So his friend had a birthday at the zoo. The zoo does a very strategic thing and makes it so you have to leave through the gift shop.
Oh, yes.
And everyone else in that birthday party demanded to their parents, I need a gift. I need something. Even though it wasn't their birthday party. My son, he knows he has a wallet. And so I said, yes, if you want to buy something, you didn't bring your wallet, I will cover you and you can pay me back when we get home. He was shocked. Every time he's like, well, what about this? How much is this stuffed animal? It's $35. What? No way. What about this little bracelet? How much is this bracelet? And I was like, $15.50. What? And so he just did make him have that perspective of what's it worth, to him.
Right. Such a good lesson. You can see all those. I'm sure you were watching the way his mind was, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like he's associating that and he's learning. So none of that changes. When we age and we become adults, think about how important those same lessons are when you're young, right? Like it still needs to have purpose and a goal. What are you wanting to do with it, right? What are the hopes and dreams that you're hoping to get to? What's logical and realistic? And then how do you find the balance between what we call like living in the now, right? Enjoying life today, and then also being prudent, right? Prudency with, saving for the future and making sure that you have something set aside so that working might become optional, right? And you don't need to worry about it anymore. It's really kind of eliminating the worry and the fear. So now you can take that space in your mind and go put it to something different.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's only 5.5. Is that too young to start talking money? Or when would you suggest that parents should even start talking money with their kids?
I think, we do classes even on, teaching kids about money talks. And so I think the more that I kind of go back to when I was little, I learned things like that from my grandmother, sometimes not like explicit, but watching her, right? She was really engaged. She would show me. So never underestimate what your children are watching you do, right? And how you're talking about money, even maybe you and your spouse, or how are you organizing or making money decisions? Kids are really aware, but you can bring them into that. So even fun things like when you go to the grocery store, have them create a budget. Have them look at the amounts of things and what they cost, right? So they start to associate, wow, like food's important. Yeah. This is what this is going to cost. Like here's our fund money. So I think it's really more than anything, inclusion, right? Include them in how you're talking about it, how you save money for trips, things like that. And then equate it to things that are important to them.
Okay.
Like start to tie values for them. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. Because we've definitely been feeling like maybe we're being too honest. Sometimes I feel like when he asks, I want to do this XYZ thing, we'll say, well, it costs X, and that means I can't do this or whatever. And, for these reasons. And, sometimes Eric and I look at each other and we're like, are we being way too honest with our kids? But at the same time, I never want to sugarcoat anything. And he also, James, he does earn his money. He will vacuum the house for money. Yeah. And so he knows how much work it takes to earn X. And so is it worth that time, basically, to purchase it?
I love it. Chores are great. Kids can do chores very young. The slightest thing, you help them associate that with, right, doing their part in the household, right? We all have part-time jobs. We're all working together. Yes. So,
And it's been a heck of a saving for me because I've been able to tell the cleaning people, like, yes, I found another cleaner. He's a wonderful little boy. Very inexpensive. Good for you. Yes. So it's working out for now. Yeah. Yeah. Eventually I can get Layla involved too.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. 2 workers.
Yes. Now Layla's only 2.5. We are learning just how to count to 20. So we're not quite there at, talking money just yet with her, but we'll get there. They both do have savings accounts though. That was something that we did, honestly, right when they were born. Would you suggest that families do that? Is it important to think about even your kids because what do they need to save for? They're 2. But even at, that $25 just sitting there, it's still something put away, or the $250 just sitting there, it's something put away.
I think it depends on what your goals are, right? I always go back to what are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to teach your child, right, how they can touch and feel it? Then maybe just start with a piggy bank.
We have a bit. We're teaching diversification.
Yeah. So I've seen parents do just like 3 boxes, right? And it's as simple as spend and teaching them the discipline of separating their finances. So they can hold it. They have to put it in, right? So they're in control of that. So teaching them control is important. The other thing might be like a lot of banks have really great cards for kids now. Green Light's an example where you can load their chore money onto a card that acts like a debit card.
That's cute.
Yeah. And then once the money is done, it's done, right? Like it's not like a credit card where you can spend. So that's a great way to give them control and teach them actual skills as quickly as you can. I think there's a lot of other things for savings accounts that you can do to plan for your kids, right, outside of that. But if you want them to actually learn the skill, those are some just basics.
Good old classic. The good old classic Toy Story piggy bank, like the actual piggy bank. Yeah. That's awesome. And, I know that as an entrepreneur, and your husband's an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Owning the studio and things. So that can be kind of tough because sometimes entrepreneur life isn't always guaranteed. How do you have that synergy? What are some tips that you would have to fellow married couples or people in relationships, trying to, whether it's together or separately, have their successful entrepreneurial lives?
Wow, such a good question. That's a big one. And let me just tell you how important, and so we could probably talk for a long time on that, but I would tell you a couple things. I think as an entrepreneur, and this is always humbling for me, if you're talking to other entrepreneurs, if you've worked in corporate jobs or a W-2 position, I laugh sometimes and humble myself. I'm like, I've never worked harder in my entire life, right? Mm-hmm. It's different type of work. Mm-hmm. I think you work really hard at all capacities, right, of any work that you're challenged by. But definitely entrepreneurial work adds its own complexities and ebbs and flows, right, that require a lot of, additional safety measures, yes, a lot of grace, a lot of mental mindfulness, right? But yeah, I think as a woman, right, as a woman business owner, part of my drive to creating my own practice and a business is just that, so that I have autonomy. Mm-hmm. That's a big balance life shift for me. And so part of it's just creating order in your life between your business and your family and you and all the other things. I always go back to it's like when you get on the airplane, put your oxygen mask on first. This is my message to everybody, women, men, you need to put your oxygen mask on first. Mm-hmm. And that's so critical. I wish I could go back to my younger self and almost say that, because oftentimes we give. And as moms, we give a lot. We will do everything for everyone before we put ourselves first. And I think that's a trap, especially as business owners, that you will burn yourself out a lot quicker, right, in that path. So building structure on the arenas of your life is very important before you start entrepreneurship. Because I'll tell you, if I were to stack all of my priorities in life, my business is actually probably fourth. And so that's on purpose, because my life is not my business. My life is my life, right? I choose to do this work, and it's purpose driven, and it's good, and I enjoy it, and it's doing something good. And so in the world, and that's important to me, but it stays in a certain lane, right? So I get up, I spend a lot of time working on me. And, I think that's probably the most important thing is how are you developing yourself? How are you creating quiet space for yourself? Do you make time and carve out time for wellness? Move your body, eat well. Yeah. How do you do that stuff? Meditate, pray, whatever it is, so that when you're ready to now enter business, mom, household duties, and all the other things that are going to come, you're kind of like the Matrix, right? If you're like, where it's like it's just the bullets are coming and you're just like, you're going with it.
Flowing with it. Yep.
Because you can. Yeah. And that is how it's going to be, right? And so I like that analogy, because that truly is what a typical days can look like, right? But it's finding that order and making sure not one side becomes too far out, because you start to feel it. And just notice that and go, okay, I need to slide that back in. Yeah. Yep. And Eric and I work really, I would say very harmoniously there, recognizing we each have businesses. They're both very important. We work as strategy partners together. I'm always working in strategy to listen and advise for him. He's always doing the same for me. We're very open-minded. When I have meetings or conflicts, he has things like that. Our children are always most important, right? So we will always communicate to make sure that, they are kind of protected, because they are at that number one for both of us. So I think it's communication, it's order, it's balance, and purpose in a lot of ways.
Excellent. You mentioned that it's also about how you start your day. So what are some of the things that you do in order to start your day in the right energy and the right step?
Oh, I start very early. So it's funny how the more you do this is like newsflash. If you haven't done or started this process, you just want more of it. I find that the more that I develop structured time for myself to work on me, take time to be mindful, sit, meditate, whatever it is, visionary work, journaling, gratitude work, the more I want of that. Because that's where I actually find that's where I get to celebrate joy in my life. That's where happiness actually is experienced. And so there are a lot of things that, and I think there was a question, and this might make sense to just bring it up, where you said, if you could go back to your younger self, and tell them what's one thing, that you could maybe say. I think a lot of that is that, don't be in a hurry. Mm-hmm. Don't be in a hurry to chase down huge dreams and careers and all of this, because actually the joy of our life is sitting right in front of us in every moment of the day. If you can practice presence and you can actually identify the little moments of your days where you get to help someone, listen to a friend, and be really present, have a great interaction with a client, right? Whatever it is, help do impactful work with your child over homework. When you get to go back and actually reference that the next morning, and you get time to write that out and recognize those little moments, your heart is going to be filled with so much joy that you're able to then go and face this day with this energy that is honestly kind of euphoric, right? Yeah. Because you're looking at things a lot different. You're really just looking at the day of what's in front of you, because every day is the opportunity to give that to you. So that's what I've learned, and it's helped me stay really centered and really present. And I think that helps, whether it's in your relationships, with your kids, or your business.
I love that. It reminds me of another book.
Miracle
Morning. I don't know if you've done that one.
I love Miracle Morning.
Yeah, so it talks about the savers process.
Oh,
so
so good.
So it's just like starting your day. And I actually have also started making my alarm go off a little sooner. The hopes to wake up before those kids do, but my kids are young, so they still wake up. They do early sometimes.
Yes, sleep is important.
Yes,
but the sooner you get there, I think you realize you will just create discipline. You'll fall asleep more naturally. I sleep better than I've ever slept before, because you're putting yourself right. You are an energy source that needs a lot in order to keep everything going and still maintain wellness.
Yeah. Oh, I fell asleep real quick though. I actually like almost do like a download meditation as I go to sleep.
Ooh,
I actually will replay the day and try to be like, oh, that was great. That was great. That was great. That was great. Not so much replay anything that went bad, because a lot of times if it was bad, it's gone. It's past. Why dwell and waste that energy? Because I just want to go to sleep with all these downloads of good thoughts and good things and good thoughts and good things. And then what's tomorrow going to be? Yeah. And then eventually I just fall asleep. I don't know. I'm always like in mid thought and then I'm done.
We talk about circadian rhythm a lot, right? Everybody has a different rhythm. Maybe you're a morning person or maybe you're an evening person. It doesn't matter.
I think I'm a 10 a.m. person.
Yeah. So you gotta be like, you gotta figure out your mojo time. But like a lot of people will do that meditation at the end of the night. So whatever your time is, just make that little bit. Start with 5 minutes for yourself. Yes. It doesn't need to be anything extravagant, but I think you find how much you actually need it.
Yes. Well, even just like the savers. I don't have time to necessarily do the hour. I'll try to do like a power 5 to 10 minute, just do a quick, 100 sit-ups. There's my E for exercise. Do a little bit of reading when I riding my bike after bringing James to school, just little things like that. Yes. So my savers isn't quite all in one, but it gets done before 9 a.m. in the morning. That is always a guarantee.
But that's because you redefined, right?
Yes.
You redefine the expectation that you've given yourself, right? Of what exercise is, what mindfulness is. And that's all that it matters, is setting those right levels of expectation, right? Because then you will be satisfied and you'll feel good at the end of the night going, oh, I did that for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. Just now that it is, not quite so cold in the morning. My son's school is very close. We do bike, but I've been trying to be like, okay, I'm going to take a slightly different route every day.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Just to kind of mix it around, see more of the neighborhood. I love looking at my neighborhood and see what people do with their lawns. I don't know why I love doing that. Just get little ideas like, oh, I love that.
Yes. It's where you get to appreciate character.
Yeah.
Your eyes, whether you're outside or it's nature, like that's that like creative spirit that you're,
Yeah. Good vitamin D. It's the reason why I love Arizona though. I'm originally from the East Coast and I moved to Arizona in 2009. And my goodness, even on the bad days, it's still a good day because it's still beautiful.
Even at 120.
Even at 120, honestly, even at 120, because you can just go to the pool. So
True.
AC unit, pool, take your fourth shower of the day. It's okay. I like showers, so I'm fine with that. So I shared a few books that, our conversation reminded me of. What's a tale that you've either read, heard, or even watched, a movie that maybe really inspired you? What's a book or a movie that you really just absolutely love? Or it could just be something really entertaining that you just feel
wow. That's a really big question because my mind goes to like personal things or business.
Share
so
both.
I'll give you the quick lowdown here. I'm a true 80s girl through and through. Love everything 80s. So I would say
like Brat Pack stuff? Or?
No, like probably a couple of my favorite movies are just like The Goonies.
Okay.
I'm a true
classic.
like adventure. Oh yeah, just classic 80s. Adventure babysitting. So I really love pretty much everything 80s music, all of that. Books, I love reading, but I love reading lots of different things. If I'm reading something for me, it's historical fiction all the way.
Okay.
So my favorite, I can't pick a favorite book because that's just like, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, that's tough.
How do you pick a favorite book? But I can definitely tell you a favorite author.
Okay.
Kristen Hanna. She's from the Northwest, from Seattle, where I'm from. And she's just one of the most descriptive historical fiction writers. So I know she's really well known now. She's got a ton of amazing books. Probably one of my favorite books of hers is The Great Alone or The Nightingale. So she's, those are just great reads.
For my dad. My dad likes historical fiction.
If you need a book that you can literally just read in an afternoon and you cannot come up for air because it's so good, it'll suck you in. But yeah, it's great writing. Development books. So here's my tip. I usually give a tip to a lot of people. Ask me, how do you build that development time in, right, for reading? Both my husband and I have kind of shifted to Audible for development. So my goal each day is like an hour a day, an hour a day for Audible or, development. Sometimes I'll do that when I'm walking the dog. Mm-hmm. So now I'm moving my body and my brain's taking it in. And so I really enjoy that. That's a great
use of multitasking there. You're able to listen, develop your brain, develop your body, get the vitamin D from being outside. Yes. I love a good multitask.
Yes. So I wish I knew those things, right? We had Audible long ago. But those, I love that. Some of my favorite, I love Brendon Burchard. High Performance Habits is probably one of my favorite books in the business space. Think and Grow Rich is always a classic. Yeah, so there are tons and tons. I could go in. I mean, we could spend a long time getting our list together.
Yes,
those are some of my favorites, and how I think reading. You need to have both.
Yeah,
you need to get lost, right, in the emotion of a great story. And you also need to, get your mind to think logically about, different concepts. So trying to figure out the balance between the two.
Lovely. Yeah. I feel like we need to add like a book club piece because the tale of how we got connected is through a mutual friend, Kristen Karup, and She Inspires Group. So an organization of entrepreneur women in the Valley who also want to give back. I love that we have that connection of connecting with nonprofits and charity groups here. And so that's how we originally got connected. And I feel like we need to start like a book club. I am going to be sharing Best Year Yet since I got that as the Secret Santa or the White Elephant we did. So I'm going to be passing that off and trying to make someone else do that then.
So good.
I'll start it.
Yeah, it is great.
Yes. Excellent. And, I always get curious, what's your favorite animal with a tail?
Favorite animal? Oh my gosh. Well, I can't pick one of the or the other because it's I feel like if I say it out loud, I'm going to get in trouble. But I like dogs and cats.
Okay.
So we have both.
There you go.
I love them all, right? And if my kids tell me they want another animal and they're going to take care of it, no.
I know.
Because guess who takes care of all the animals?
Mm-hmm.
Me.
That is why we don't have a dog.
Yes. But I do love them. I feel like they are therapy for me, right? Animals are wonderful, and I just adore them. And I know one day my kids will be gone, and maybe I'll have more. Who knows, right?
All right, well, we got one for team cat and dog. Then.
Yes,
team cat
both.
Excellent. All right, well then I can keep you around a little longer. So a lot of people watching this show are striving to become successful business owners themselves. What would be a suggestion for those who do want to get into the financial industry? What would be that first step or just a really good piece of advice that you wish you were told sooner in your journey?
Who want to maybe become like in financial planning,
they want
or
to
advising or anything.
Someone
like
who's
that.
like, oh my gosh, Malia Sperling, she seems so fun, so happy. I like numbers and finance and helping people. How do I become her when I grow up?
So that's such a good question. I think I would just say you need to figure out what your purpose is in anything that you do. It really doesn't matter if it's finance or, right, you're here, right, telling stories. You have to genuinely love what you do. And it may not be like, I'm not going to say it's all sunshines and rainbows, because it's not.
No, it's going to be hard work, but you're going to get through those tough times, the muddy middle, as they say, when you have that passion and that burning desire.
Yeah, I think it comes down to, what do you have to give, right? Like, what have you been gifted with? What talents and gifts do you have to give freely? And how can you align those with what the industry or what human beings need, consumers need help in? Yeah. If you can find that direct correlation, you can see yourself doing that type of work, then I think you'll be successful, right? And then don't lose that. Yes. Don't lose sight of that clarity, because that's what's going to drive you through all of the hard, right? Over a long period of time, which is business ownership period, right? Yeah. It doesn't matter what the industry is. Yes, the financial services industry can be really challenging at times. And so,
so you got a lot of outside forces that are beyond your control. The markets change, life, there's things that happen that I know you can't control, but you need to help probably keep your clients calm.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. The statistics in this industry is that I think it's less than 10% of people make it past 3 years.
Wow.
That has always struck me as why.
Wow, it's like a restaurant statistic, right? Almost.
Why? Yeah, wow. Why? I always ask why a lot. But I do think a lot of that comes down to that lack of clarity. Because when things get very tough, what do we do, right? Like when things get really, really tough, if there isn't something drawing us connected in such a strong force of strength, of purpose, it's easy to say, I give up. That is really important to establish that. And then it's just business 101, right? Yeah. You avoid this madness of peaks and valleys, and instead you focus on developing consistency, right? Yes. Just consistency, something that is manageable in life. So you're not riding a roller coaster, essentially. But that's what I would say. I think anyone can do anything as long as, right, you have intention and you're driven by
true passion.
Yeah.
And just like in life, how there's different phases. There's different phases in business where it may not seem so full, but eventually you can make it to your full moon where everything's shining bright.
See, there you go.
Yes. And so if people want to stay connected with you, especially your workshops and educational classes that you offer. I'd love to put all the links in the show notes, but just verbally tell us, where can we go? Where are you most active on social media?
Probably LinkedIn. I usually try to keep, I am not a huge active personal social media person. But I love our business community. I'm very much business oriented, very community oriented. I'm involved in a lot of community spaces with volunteer projects and nonprofit work. And so I'm just a community girl, and that's who I am and always will be. So I am really kind of a master of connecting too. So if somebody needs help and they're looking to meet someone or whoever that is, if I can make that connection, I'd love to do that. Best way to really is kind of reach out, send me a message or send me a LinkedIn message. I'd love to learn more about, about people and genuinely how we can help.
All right. So LinkedIn, I know I personally like LinkedIn. My team does a fabulous job making me look active on all the platforms, but LinkedIn's the only one where I personally will go in from time to time. Right? So excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on here today and sharing more about your journey. So those of you who are looking to start business, whether it's in finances or anything else, just, stay true to your passion and true to your why. And in terms of, parents who have littles, it's never too early to talk about finances and help people have a healthy relationship with money. So thank you again for coming on today and sharing your tales.
Thanks, Taylor.
Thank you for watching Tales with Taylor. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the Financial Potion YouTube channel to never miss an episode.